Hi, welcome back to Non Niche. This is episode number 2, The Evolving Lens. I'm so excited to introduce you to Corine Olarte. She went from a dancer, pre med student, and now a professional photographer. I'm so excited for you to hear her story, how she's evolving, and her new accomplishments. So let's get into it. We got it. We got it. So, how's your day been? How you
Um,
feeling?
it's good. I recently got Notion, so I don't know if you're like on like
I'm
organization like to-do list stuff, but it's
yeah.
helped me a lot. It's a little overwhelming, so I kind of spent a lot of today trying to organize that just so I can kind of get my head together.
No, Notion is my best friend. I love Notion. I think every time you learn Notion, like every time it does an update, you don't know Notion anymore.
Yeah. Like
It's
when I got used to it, just a little bit, it was just like, here's an AI feature.
yeah,
And I was like, what is this?
like don't do this to me.
Yeah, I don't do
And
this.
I was just like, I just learned the bare minimum of this. And I was just like, I think it was when I first was able to change the background and the format of how I wanted to be laid out and everything. And it said, oh, well, we did an update. And I was praying. I was praying that everything was still the same. And I was just like, oh, thank God. But yeah, it's definitely a it's a journey for sure. But no, uh, everything's else. Are you ready?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never done
So
Instagram Live. It's very interesting. Like, I don't know how we're gonna, you know what? We're gonna wing this. We're gonna try this. We're gonna see how it works. If you hear barking, I do have two dogs, and right now they really want to fight. So
uh,
if you see me
well,
my eyes darting that way, that's probably because of
now
them.
that's me and my cat. My cat doesn't. He gets. I don't know. It's just like whenever I'm willing to play, he's just like, nah, I'm good. But if I'm busy, he's just like, hey, you want to play? No, no. I gave you my boundary. You shall not be listening to it. So now, here we are, not playing. And he's just like staring at me like, I don't like this. I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Oh no, my internet is slowing down. Let me turn off some devices. Mm-hmm.
And just like how you started photography, I know reading your profile, you were you just got handed the camera and said, "Here you go.
Yeah,
Let's see if this works."
yeah. So basically, oh wait. It did kind of do a little bit. So, like we were frozen for a bit. So did you just
Oh
say
no.
that like how I started photography in general? Was there anything
Yeah.
else? Yeah. So I didn't really have any prior like interests or like experience in it. I mean, I would just take pictures, just because like Instagram got really big, like when I was in middle school, high school. So that
Hmm.
was really the extent of photos I took. And then once I got to college, I was in a dance group called Moonlight, and I applied to be in the exec board. Did the got on it, was a pub chair. Even though that was the one chair, I told the two people that were the directors for next year that I was like, I am gonna have the least amount of experience in this little area,
Right.
and they said we're gonna put Corine there. So,
It's
but
gonna
I
be
think it's
fine.
yeah, they're just like, Corine, she'll dive deep and just figure it out from
Right.
there. Um, yeah, so they were just kind of like, yeah, it'd be like really good for you to learn like photography. So the person that was the photographer last year, he actually like taught me how to do like the basic stuff on like the camera. And then I was telling him like, yeah, like this is really cool because I was borrowing his camera.
Right.
And he gave me his camera for free because I was just like, I'm like, I gotta save up over the summer, like I'll work and stuff so I can like buy a camera. And then he was like, here you go. So that was my first camera. I know, it was very, very sweet. Shout out to Spend. He is very much like one of the people where I'm like, had he not done that, I wouldn't be where I was right now. That's gonna be a ton of people. Like that's gonna be a huge list of people for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so from there, I was just like practicing a whole bunch. I was doing just shoots with friends, doing shoots with just random people. I started charging like I think was like $60 was like for like a 1 or 2 hour shoot, and I gave like a ton of images, like maybe like 50 to like 70, something like that, just like wild amount for like
I remember that.
yeah, and just kind of kept going from there, and I got actually just really hooked onto it. And funny enough, now this year, coming May or so, it's gonna be like me doing photography in general for like 6 years. So
Wow.
it's been a while, which makes me feel old.
That doesn't make me feel old. Like, if you think 2 years is only like maybe 6 months in like real time,
Yeah.
the way that the world goes, and I think that's awesome because it's hard, especially right now. Like everybody's a photographer. You don't even need a like standardized camera anymore.
Exactly.
Like, and I was like talking about that to friends. I was just like, I have all these cameras in my closet, but every phone can take a freaking good picture, and I can just load it up in Lightroom and be fine and reformat it, and no pixel. It's just like I have thousands of equipment in my area, and you're just like, no. But I think, and I kind of go back with that when it comes to like AI and automatically generating stuff. It's just like everybody brings their own like organic uniqueness of style to
exactly.
the different. And when I looked at your photos, I was just like, you bring almost kind of like a soft cinematic style to your work, which I think is very interesting because it's just not all like I know what they're doing. It's just like you have like a lot of variety, which is really cool.
Oh, thank you.
Very proud of yourself, by the way. Starting a business in something like photography is hard because like talk about saturation, and you're just going what makes you feel good. Right?
Yeah,
but yeah, I really commend you on that. And I was looking at your TikTok the other day, and it was, what is that one sound? You're like, they say start a business, and you're like, I'm starting a business.
Like no bitches.
Friends, family, and I'm like, I feel the epitome of her pain because you're like carrying around the equipment. And I'm like, girl.
I'd be like, no, I have no more. My back is just dead from doing this too. And I used to dance because I did photography because I was from my dance crew.
Right.
And I actually had like a back injury my senior year of college, and I had to do like therapy for it because like I couldn't like really move very much. My lower back was just like, I don't know what the heck was wrong with it. It was just hurting when I would move, do anything. But even now I have to be super careful of my back. So like, yeah, the video of me carrying all that stuff, I'm always just like, all right, perfect form of lifting things up. That's great, legs engaged. So yeah, oh my gosh, that video, hilarious.
I mean, I think that is the 2023 trigger of all entrepreneurs out here in the world right now, because like you are on your own, but I think you're also not, because you have like strangers supporting you. Hello, hi.
Hello.
So I think that's just really cool, and like just your background, like of what inspires you as an artist. Like you want to talk more about that. I know everybody pulls from different things, but I think your backstory is really nice.
Yeah. So I sometimes, how do I like describe myself? Kind of like when I was a kid, I just clung on to any hobby I can grab. So I would like so I came from like a super musical family. Like everybody sings. This is a Filipino stereotype that like, you know, we're all just gonna be rocking it on karaoke.
Mm-hmm.
And then I made every sort of media my personality, such as Avatar: The Last Airbender, whatever anime I was obsessed with at that time. If there was a film or movie I was obsessed with at that time. Like right now, everything I'm doing, it's like everything everywhere all at once. I'm like always like thinking about that movie. So I'm just like kind of really just drawing a lot of inspiration from a lot of the things that just kind of made me feel just happy. And it sounds like such a general like thing, but like it's really nice to be able to look at other art pieces and like draw inspiration from that versus like and I think that's why like my style tends to be quite different from like other people's styles, because I don't really look at other photographers. Like I'm always going to be like supportive of my other photographer friends and things like that, but I'm never going to be like, I want to shoot like this photographer.
Right.
I actually find myself being like, I want to make like a photographic version of this movie or like this like animated short that I saw.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, so like artwork like that. I don't know if you could see. Oh yeah, this is not like a Zoom call because I can actually turn. I have like all these like artwork stuff here too when I'm like editing. So my desk is quite colorful, but that's kind of where I'll just like get inspiration from. And then yeah, I think that doing it that way, you don't have like any limitations. Like there's only so many photographers in the world, but there is like thousands and like millions of artists. So there's just like tons and tons of inspiration you can do, like exploring different mediums. And they don't always have to be visual mediums too. Like there's inspiration in like, I think I was at like a talk the other day and it was like a spoken word poet was doing like their performance, and like their words like literally jogged like a kind of like a light bulb in my head, and I had like an idea for a shoot from that. So it's like you'll never really figure out where you're gonna get the inspiration from. You just gotta go out there, try different things. Not everything's gonna work, but you know, just kind of keep going and keep doing it.
I think that's good because I think sometimes when I was, you know, I'm gonna always say I was talking to my friends. I talk to my friends a lot, but whenever you start something, you automatically think, okay, this may not work, and it's just like failure. But I was just like, if you like, what's the fear behind failure? It just doesn't work out. You get embarrassed. Whoop-de-doo. I remember I failed at my first dance competition. Mind you, my dance teacher said, hey, don't fall, like right before we entered the stage. And what did the last do? I fell. I fell.
Why would they say that?
Stop laughing. I laughed. I was like seated and laughed the whole time. And like the audience laughed. And I was just like, okay, so they're laughing with me or against me. I don't know. But it was just like, why are we so scared to fail? Like, it's just like, you should commend yourself for even one, taking the first step, two, to push forward into something that you believe in. And that takes strength. So sometimes that does talk us out of like a lot of things, like going to public places.
Yep.
I know I have to work on that myself. I'm balanced with like my extroverted self and my introverted self, but like as an artist, it's hard to put your stuff out there to the world because you're just like, are they gonna compare? Like how many likes are they gonna get? Like honestly, and I even say that about non-niche. Like I wanted organic followers and like build a collaborative platform so everybody can get to know one another, because like you're at a Charlotte? Yeah. So like you never know, someone would be like, hey, like I saw you like on non-niche or something, or I saw one of your photos, like it looks like we're in the same area, do you want to collaborate? Like has anybody like done that with you, like found you on social media and wanted to collaborate that way?
Yeah, like just I think a lot of the first clients I really started getting was like word of mouth, and even till now, like I still think a good bit. I still got to do my analytics for that, I will say, but like a good amount of people being like either word of mouth or they're like, hey, I saw that you shot with like my like this is not an actual example. Someone's just like, you shot with my personal trainer, so I did a branding session with them. Wow. And then she was just like, I actually have my own business and I need to get pictures for it. And then, you know, we did the shoot like that. And then even from there, like her makeup artist, I ended up doing an event like photography thing. So it was just like a weird like just web of just networking of people, just because like I feel like like-minded people will all kind of just like really mesh with each other. And it's that whole thing of like, you know, business thing of like finding your ideal client. And I feel like once you kind of honed in your ideal client, most likely they're going to be surrounded with the people that are also sharing their same values and ideals. So then I kind of just like end up connecting with all of them. And it's just like this big web of just networks and just us like supporting each other. Because it's even something where like there'll be things where someone will ask me like, oh, like, do you know any like personal trainers? And I'm like, yeah, I did work with somebody that was a personal trainer. And like, she's really cool. And I got to like have one-on-one talks with her about like her like vision on things. And I'm just like, I definitely like recommend her for that. So yeah, it's just like a constant flow of just like give energy, you get good energy back type of thing.
I completely agree. I'm like, what you put in is what you're gonna get back.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think there was like one thing I kind of responded on, maybe two, on like TikTok, and it was just like influencers like hating on other influencers at like brand deals or like get-togethers or something. I'm like, that's very disheartening because some of these people feel like people ever, right? And I have to deal with like the mean girls or mean boys or whatever. And I was just like, you know, I feel like that's not why you're there. For one, it's just you want to connect with people, and I think that's all that the world is trying to do is honestly connect with people, either like-mindedly or just showing support. And it's hard when you're kind of losing that like authenticity that you offer, because like you never know, your clientele can be like a whole spectrum of things. Like it can be like super artistic or super corporate business, but like now you have your own personal network where you can just branch off anywhere, you know?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I'm gonna have to nerd out with you a little bit because you said something about Avatar, and I saw in your story this game.
Yes.
That, yeah, you're gonna have to explain that to me.
So little segue.
Yeah.
Do you know the game Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah. I said I was gonna get nerdy.
But like I like laugh. I'm like, oh my god, so dorky. But I still like how I intro myself to people. It's just like, yeah, I'm like really actually mega geek. Everything like from comic books to like Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Like I love all that shit. But it's basically like a tabletop role playing game. So if you like, because I've always wanted to do Dungeons and Dragons, but it's quite hard to get into that because it's a lot to kind of like learn like the lore of it. You gotta like create a character. It's gotta interact with the world. It's a lot of like being able to like story tell. But there was a huge like Kickstarter thing like a few years back that my sister like funded, and then she got like that back. So we have that full set of like a tabletop role playing like Avatar: The Last Airbender. It spans from like Kyoshi's era all the way to like Korra's era of like kind of role playing and like different stuff. It's a huge game. It's gonna take me a long time to even just read the instructions, but I'm sure it will be fun.
It'll be worth it. No, I laugh because my when I adopted my cat, the lady who it's just like sometimes my cat is a cat that wasn't like a rescue, but he was like born into the shelter. And I originally was not supposed to get him, but the adopters backed out at the last minute, so I felt like it was meant to be.
Yeah.
And Olin,
oh
and I was like, that was like one of my favorite characters in like the Segway shows, and I'm like, that was for me. So when you said that, this is gonna be a good time, so I had to mention that. But where do you see yourself, like, with the AI and you know how evolved photography is getting? Like, you have 3D images. You almost like we're going into more a what's it called? It's you know how people have like the virtual galleries now, like
yeah,
3D projection of a gallery where you can actually do like a VR situation and like walk through it with like the goggles or the Oculus or something like that. The way that we see photography and how we're going forward, do you think that it's going to either enhance or take away more of the like authenticity of like the artist behind the camera?
Hmm. See, like with like new stuff just like coming in, I'm always of the mindset that it's going to enhance. I feel like it's only really going to deter if we are not like up to adjusting. So really like I guess more tangible example, because like sometimes like thinking about like big tech like AI and things like that, like we don't really know the background of how those things really work. Like it's kind of honestly I feel like it kind of plopped onto us like the past few months, just all of a sudden like all this stuff coming out.
Right.
But even like something as simple as something that's like TikTok and stuff. I like know so many photographers that were immediately like, oh my God, video's taking over everything. I'm like so frustrated. I refuse to get a TikTok. I refuse to make reels and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, your business is gonna suffer. Your like ability to do your art as a job is going to suffer because you are not adjusting with the times. You are not adjusting to like, you know, different things. Granted too, if it's like that's not where your like niche market is, or if like you really just do not like it and it's not working for you, I mean, that's like totally fine. But I mean, I feel like being able to adjust and figure out like balance with things is always going to be like my approach on stuff like that. And even with like AI, like people are thinking like, oh, it's going to replace like, it's going to replace like art in general. But if we think about it, like autotune's been around for forever, and that hasn't replaced like singers. And I'm sure we can make like bots like sing like a song, but like we still have famous singers that are like doing it, because those imperfections within art is what makes it like human and makes it interesting. Because like if you hear like a fully auto-tuned song that's like a robot, it is not a good song. But if you hear like the imperfections of everything, yeah, I like watched like a video about autotune. It was very interesting. But like there's like intricacies to like a person's voice. Even someone who's like Freddie Mercury and like Adele, like they have such a great voices and are such great vocalists, but they're still like not like necessarily like on pitch the entire time, you
Right.
know? But then if you auto tune their voice to be like on pitch, it's gonna lose that like rawness of emotion. So
Right.
yeah, even with the introduction of stuff like AI, virtual galleries and stuff, I feel like, you know, it's gonna be the same thing where like when Kindles were like introduced and like online books, audiobooks, like there's still people with preferences to like paper books too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's just gonna be a matter of like balancing all of that, and like, you know, it's just giving us more options, but I feel like it's not necessarily like a replacement.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when new things happen and like automatically we think of replacement instead of just like, oh, this is a nice feature, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Like we were talking about Notion, and sometimes when it updates, it's just like, what? That's
Yeah,
gone.
yeah.
It's just like, that's just automatically like how we associate with like a new feature. Or when Apple, whenever it says, hey, we have another software up there, you're like, where's the power button? As long as you don't change that, I'm fine.
Power button and audio jack. So
Yeah.
oh, when they removed the audio jack, I was thrown into a loop when they did that. I was like, what?
So freaked out. I was like, how am I gonna listen to
Yeah.
music?
But hey, you know, we adjusted. Like, I mean, we get that initial shock and being like, ah, what's happening? But then, you know, we adjust, we find balance, and then we're back to like a new status quo.
Yeah, I mean, like flowing with change and going back to like the beginning of art. It honestly was uh, like if you want to go all the way back to the caveman in ancient Egypt, they had natural materials. They used their resources, and yes, it's like thousands, millions of dollars as of right now, because most of the time everything is digital or acrylic paint. It's just like chemicals and pigment instead of just like that natural material of like the organic of creating a medium, as I would say. And then also we have screen printing. Now everybody has a screen printer. I love screen printing. It's like my favorite. But all it was like, especially like the beginning of newspapers, it was just a stamp run on a machine, you know? So it's just like if you, yes, it builds for more easiness and effortless and more useful of your time, like, what was it, like the chat GPT or something like that that just came out, or everybody now, which I'm still trying to get information about that. I'm not really comfortable. I haven't used it yet, so
Yeah, me too. It's okay.
I was like, I have not used it yet. Don't come for me. But I think it's just like an enhancement. And then I think when used responsibly, because I still think that we don't have like, what's it called? The Last Mummy, when they pulled out, because they did find like certain things in Egypt
Yeah.
recently. And I was just like, some things are and should be left alone.
Yeah.
Not just because we saw the movie, but like if you knew what it was, we don't need to hold it in a central area to bring. Just hey, I found it. Take a picture of it and leave it alone. Put it back.
Yeah, just
that's it.
I'm like, all right, I know, and I'm not gonna cry. That's fine.
Exactly. And I think if we don't go throughout this journey of adjusting and also expanding our minds, it's all about expansion.
Mm-hmm.
So when I read that you were on a pre-med track, I bet your parents said, "Now what are you gonna do?"
Well, see, so can't really speak on my dad because like that's a very strained relationship, not really much communication. But in terms of like my mom, like she's always been, and I love that very much. Like me and my siblings, that like when I was like, "Hey, mom, I don't want to do pre-med," she was like, "Okay, you want to eat something?" Like she was just like, what she was phased.
Yeah.
She wasn't even like, "What are you gonna do now?" She was just like, "Yeah, how are you feeling right now? You want to eat some food? Like, chill, figure it out, you know." And I think that's just because she's always been such a person that like would be honest with us. Like she went through the nursing track, but she didn't want to do nursing. Like it was her family that was just like, yeah, go be a nurse. It's a good, secure job, et cetera, et cetera. And it was also a job that was going to help her like get to the States too easily because that's a whole other conversation about how the U.S. uses Filipino nurses for their American systems and doing that. But yeah, so she very much is like with me and my siblings, like understanding that like if we need to like take a break from job searching or if it's like I don't know what I'm doing, like she never like shames us for that because she was kind of like in the mindset that she's like, man, I wish I got that time to do that. Because I think even when I asked her, I'm like, if you weren't a nurse, what would you want to do? She was like, I don't really know. Like she didn't even get the chance to like really explore it. She was like, maybe I would do this, maybe I would do this. But I feel like she never really got to like think about like, oh, what do I actually want? So yeah, lucky enough when I did go off the pre-med track, she was good about it. Mm-hmm. The rest of my family, some of them were like still telling people I was like gonna go to medical school or like pre-med even after I was like off that track for 2 years. But some of them are not very good at listening. So I just kind of like shrug off and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. Whatever makes you feel better. I'm not whatever makes you feel better, you know? And I think that's important. And I think you being a, freelance photographer, having your own LLC, I think that's very good, at your age, because I know in school, I wasn't told to like start your own business. Like you just get a job and you keep your head down and you keep pushing. You don't look up and that's it. You pay your bills.
And then retire.
Retire, hopefully.
Maybe get a house.
Right. I'm just like, I don't want to be like 60 years old working. Like I should be like chilling by 45. Like I've seen enough, so no, I think that's very commendable, and I respect that. And it's hard to grind out here, and like I said, building your own client book, it's hard because you are dependable on word of mouth for a little bit, and with this kind of world of the internet, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because what you can say or what you can do can be misconstrued to something else, or like for me, I used to work at Enterprise. So basically anytime like a customer, like one time a customer was like really happy and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna get like a good customer review. Came back, she was just like mad the whole time. She said I was the worst. And I was just like, where? And like, unfortunately, they really depend on like good customer service, which I gave. I actually gave her an upgrade, but not everybody's gonna be happy when you work in a customer service field where you're, engaging with different people. Like some people might just not, and also they just might have a bad day. It doesn't mean like they're a bad person. They're just a little off. Like I remember when I started photography, luckily with dance too, but I was doing a minor at UTD for visual arts, and that was like part of my class is like a photography class. And I was just like, great. So I was just shooting my friends, and my camera at the time was just really loud. The shutter's really loud.
Yeah.
So like, oh my gosh, your camera is just so loud. Like that I can't. And like the parent got mad, and I was just like, you could just like go have a seat, because she was standing, and I'm like, you can just go have a seat. It's whatever. But at the whole thing is, it's just like you can't make everybody happy, but this is your life, this is your world. The only person that you can really make happy and make you feel like you're successful is yourself. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like if you can wake up, like at the end of each day, like I said to myself, am I happy with what I completed? It may not be a lot to somebody else, but did I make a step forward to like my goal? And every day is a yes. When I say no, I try not to beat myself up, because I'm like, maybe I was just feeling off. Yeah. And it's so, like if you're trying to manage your Instagram, your TikTok, you're trying to edit photos, you're trying to get things on schedule, and you're a one-woman show, and it's a lot. So I respect that, and you're doing a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
Share more of your stuff, your experimental ones.
Yeah, definitely need to. Like those self-portraits. They're sitting in my editing queue.
I know, and I was like, I want to see you, because you teased a little bit. And you said, self-portraits are hard, girl. Self-portraits.
Oh, I do that all the time. That's actually a marketing tactic, too.
I was just like...
Yeah, you'll notice that like on stories, because I don't always tell people like my marketing stuff, but I will just put random just tidbits of shoots that it will take me a while to actually edit. So then people are just like, Corine, where is this? So then like they're kind of like waiting. It's that whole like concept of like whenever people do like official launches and it's like countdown and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like people, you get that excitement, you like create that desire, all that kind of stuff. I'm also in a business course right now, so if ever it sounds super businessy, it's just because like, yeah, I'm like diving deep into all the business, marketing, sales stuff, and like pricing and like doing all that. So that's been really helpful. And I think I've only been in it for like 2 weeks, and it's already been just like exponentially like fixing like how I just approach business as a whole, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, and I think that's also commendable, because I put myself back in class, because I've done marketing probably for 10 years now. And it's the first time I actually done it for myself instead of like for another company. And I was just like, when I first got laid off, I was just like, ooh, what am I going to do? And then I actually took the time, and I just wrote down all the stuff that I learned. And I was just like, oh, I can just have my own business. Like all the things, like I used to do product development, I used to do marketing, I was the visual merchandiser, I just like basically all in one, doing other people's jobs as well as myself.
Oh, you got the whole staff.
Yeah, like be the whole staff. I'm like, that's what I'm doing now. I mean, like right now it's will be easier because I don't have product, it's just me. So just keeping me in line and like having the discipline to do stuff, it's just like, because again, my ADD is whenever when I work, I have to have headphones in, because like very, very tunnel vision, because I do get distracted, and that's on me. But whenever but that's because I'm like working from home, and like if I'm just like working and like I'm on the clock on somebody else's payment and they're paying me, like I have tunnel vision and I can sit there for hours. But like when it's my stuff, I'm trying to incorporate that same mentality to like my things, which I took like this on, like, have you ever heard of Udemy?
Yes. It
Yeah.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, so it is an online course portal, and it teaches you like a lot of stuff, and they always update like with different instructors, I'm sorry. And they range from like maybe $12.99 for like the whole course to maybe $150. Like they have a lot of variety. And studying psychology in my undergrad, I was always interested in the mind. It's just like I can give like 115% to like other people, but I can never give that to myself. So just rerouting that brain and mindset is very interesting, and it's hard, but it can also be really fun because you kind of push yourself to the limit where you're just like, hey, I'm running a business and I'm doing this by myself. And then like you're lucky you have the support of like the people who you really love that's been and seen you throughout your journey. And I think that's really important. And like I said, this is just a place where I can commend you on that. And saying the way you edit it, it's just impeccable in my opinion. So keep doing you. Uh, so do you have like any upcoming like events or I guess like I should say more or less, do you have um like somebody you're excited to work with or one day work with? Like what are your goals?
So I actually just was on that like business like course call, and we were going over unrealistic goals and stuff like that with like the business.
Right.
So one of my unrealistic goals is actually to open up my own studio space. I used to actually not really be somebody that was even thinking about that, just because, well, I also didn't think I was going to be doing this for like a job either. But I was realizing like when I would go to, especially spaces here in Charlotte, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to end up being based here for like the rest of my life or whatever. I'm just kind of like living in the moment kind of thing. But thinking about like the area that I have here, it's like been really nice going to everyone's like different studios and how they set it up. But I was talking to another photographer, and I think it's just because he's also kind of in that quite like, I want to make something quite out of this world like type of like thing where like you know how you get into immersed into a film,
Right.
because like a book, because you're like basically transported in a different place. And we were both like kind of like talking about how, you know, a lot of the studios that we see, it's always the same, like, oh, here's like the white backdrop and then standard studio lights, which is gonna work if you're somebody that's gonna be doing like LinkedIn photos and that kind of photography. But
Right.
I've been, you know, going towards that niche of doing like more creative concept type of shoots with people, you know, personal branding stuff where they have to basically also be quite creative of how they want to represent themselves, whether it's like a personal brand like of themselves, or if it's like a product that they have, or like a service that they have. So like having like that own studio space would be like such a cool thing, because then I can like create my own sets. I don't know if you could tell, I've been having to actually I've been trying to put these like cotton balls out because I have to make a cloud set.
Oh my gosh. Let
So
me
there's
see.
so you see me with my hands. It's just because this is my all night activity today. So I've got a shoot tomorrow. And like I was like, man, like while I've been doing this, I'm like, it'd be so nice to have a studio space so that I can already have the setup and like, you know, be ready to go. But you know, tomorrow it's gonna be 2-hour booking, and I'm gonna have to make the set in like 20 minutes, in addition to the lights in the back. So we're gonna see how fast I can move. Tomorrow it's gonna be a sprint, but we'll work it out. But yeah, so we have that. In terms of like upcoming projects, I'm trying to launch like a mentorship session. Hence why I wanted to do this business course, because I also wanted to make sure if I'm going to be a mentor to people, I need to, one, like make sure I know my shit and I'm doing my shit kind of thing. I don't want to steer people the wrong way. But it's also something where I'm like, I want to have it where if there's this person that's like this business person that I like really look up to, and like how did they run their business, how did they automate things, because if I'm adding more things, like, you know, because running sessions and like editing them and then delivering that's already a lot. If I'm already adding like mentorship, like I even have like, ooh, I want to do like a podcast, ooh, I want to do like a whatever XYZ type of thing. Like it's a lot of different things. So it's like now I'm in the stages where I'm like needing to figure out like how to automate my workflow. I remember we were talking about like how people are just like, yeah, like so cool, you're like a one woman show. And like I do like have pride in that, and I'm like, wow, like this is kind of cool. I can do it all by myself. But I'm
Yeah.
also not at the point where I'm like, yeah, it's a good thing I'm the only one doing everything, because it's not a good thing that I'm doing everything. So I'm trying to figure out what things in my business I can outsource. That way I can have more time to do maybe self portraits, because me doing that self portrait was just because I had time in the studio, because I got set up a lot earlier before the client got there, and I was like, might as well do this really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they were hard, because I had like 15 minutes to do them.
I'm like, I just think it's hard for me because I sweat whenever I take photos of myself. Like it's honestly a workout. And like taking photos of other people, it's also a workout because you're like lunging and bending your body to
Mm-hmm.
like different type of angle of perspective at the same time. So it's a workout. I always like I have to wear like loose clothes, like nothing clean.
Yeah,
Like
I have like the same photo shoot clothing. Like it's
yeah.
kind of gotten to the point where I'll like look at my reels and I'm like, what outfit should I wear? I don't look like I just went to two shoots at the same time, like on 2 different days with the same outfit. Like it's just because I just cycle the same ones, because it's like I like, yeah, like I sweat too.
Yeah.
And then even with the portraits and stuff like that, like I mean, if you think about it, it's a whole thing where you're basically having to be the model and the photographer too. So you're going back and forth, doing so many things. Your brain's working, like you're talking to yourself a lot, trying to be like, oh my god, how does this happen? How does this happen? So it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I commend anyone that can like, who is a master at doing self portraits, because they're hard. But that's the reason why I'm doing it, because it's really uncomfortable for me to do it, and it's really frustrating. Like I'll find myself just like getting like absolutely pissed off, like at myself or at the camera.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this is good. This is good that I'm feeling frustrated like this, because then that's gonna make me like better at something that's like, uncomfortable, and I'll be a lot more ready to take on like challenges and things like that.
That's important. And I think you doing the business course is also very helpful because I think somebody who says they don't need anybody is a complete, delusional person.
Yep.
When it comes to running a business because you need the support. Like I one day will need a team. I even wrote out like my plan. I'm like, I'm gonna have to hire a couple people. I
Yeah.
like I can't like I'm running like 5 different platforms and then I'm trying to set up like appointments and then also like networking my putting myself out there and like searching for people. Like I'm DMing people like spam like hi.
Yeah,
like
even when you sent your DM and all like the information, I was like, damn, you are working. You're working. Because I know like that one email to me is probably an email to like so many other people, so many DMs to people and stuff like that. So you're just like, wearing so many hats.
it's a template because I used to be a stage manager in
Work
theater.
smarter.
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, if I was acting something out, like I just introduce myself. If they're already interested, I already have like the PDF, whatever. This is what to do. I'm not going to change it. And then if they switch it up and say like, oh yeah, that'll be great. And then you're already having the conversation where you already introduced yourself. So then you have to create another response. So like it's literally a document and I copy and paste it. Like unless I like get off a call with you and then it's a little bit more like organic. But no, I used to do like individually. Just I was just like this is too much. Like I can't
no.
I can't. Then like also I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. Just a tad. I'm getting much better at it because like imperfection is like somebody's perfection and I'm like great. Because like one thing I like about doing this is just like I have a full week to look at your stuff, like no distractions. Like I look at your photography, like even the one that I was just like, hey, can I use this? Like I really like this photo. I know this is not what you gave me, but I will ask permission because I'm like, this would be really cute. And I come up with like promotions of it.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that because like I get to celebrate you like every day of the week until the buildup of your interview, which is now. And I think that's just really dope. And but no, automating and outsourcing is
so important.
And it's not saying that you can't handle it. It's just you can. It's just that you want to also make sure your burnout is not on the forefront of your brain because you're so overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to have that longevity, especially if it's like you're trying to do creative entrepreneurship where there's just like, there's already going to be burnout like creatively that you're going to have to struggle with, but then added on to like figuring out like cash flow and like, oh my gosh, like what is my bookkeeping, all like the taxes and crap like that that you got to like figure out. Like it is going to be so much better for people to like outsource, because I don't know, I think it's just because like I guess since I like tell people I'm a small business, I get like reels where people are just like, oh, so what do you do? And it's like a reel where they're like, oh my god, I do everything, and they're like, yeah, like I do everything. I'm like, that's, I mean, like if it works, cool, but like there's a lot of people that, you know, you don't want to be always giving that advice that like, hey, you got to do everything, because you're just, I don't know, I feel like that's a recipe to like end up like despising something. And I think I had to learn that kind of the hard way, because that's what I did with like dancing. I put my all into it and I was trying to do every single thing, and then I just ended up like hating it, and like I'm still in that stage where I'm trying to like get out of that burnout. This burnout's been happening for like 3 years, so yeah. So I guess that's why too, like, you know, past experience and like understanding that helped a lot too with like photography, with me being like, all right, let me take my ego down and let me take my perfection, because I also like do perfectionism stuff too, where I'm like, I look at the draft like 10 times before I like send the email out. But I mean, like now I'm like, you know, if they get the gist, cool. Eventually I'll have like a VA who will look through my emails. I don't even really have to like think about it as much as just, you know, be able to kind of like more automate things. I also use Notion now for like a bunch of like automated responses in case I need to like come off with like a response right off the bat if someone's like asking like the same questions. So I'm not having to be like, when is the last time I like responded to somebody who asked about where my pricing is? Like now I have like a copy paste response for that. So
I'm telling you, it saves a life, because like you're gonna have like so many people and you're just like, you know, my prices are the same like whichever way, unless you're adding like an extra feature, then that's gonna be different. But no, creating a template it's honestly really helpful, and I didn't even think about it. I was just like, you know what, I have so many notes, let me just make a note where I can just like copy and paste because I'm just like, hi, you know, or whatever. And sometimes like I do like big companies, I do have to watch my verbiage, because you want to come off because like I still cater to like the person that I'm talking to, because you want to make sure you're relatable. And that's also with like business and marketing at the same time. Like you're your own personal brand. And I think there was I'm gonna refer to TikTok again. I'm sorry for people who don't like TikTok. I'm a TikTok person.
I like TikTok.
Yeah. Like I'm looking at the like the comments, I'm just like, okay. Well, anyways, somebody mentioned saying like, oh, well, I wear this whenever I go to the grocery store, or I go here, this, that, and other. And I'm like, that could never be me. Only because my mom says you never know who you're gonna meet when you're out somewhere. And I'm not saying like wear like 5-piece suits or dress to the nine when you're just trying to go to Target to get cat food or dog food or whatever. I'm not saying that, but you want to look a little bit presentable. I was at Central Market the other day, and like I said, I'm trying to get used to like people approaching me just like normally. So I would just automatically get out of people's way, just normally. Excuse me. And this lovely gentleman was just like, hey, I think I've seen you before. I'm like, I don't think so. And, and I was just like,
said bye.
And I was just like, I'm like at the store, he was just like, no, like I've seen you online. I was just like, okay, well. And he's like, well, I do this, that, and another. And it was actually another artist. And he knew one of my friends. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And it was just so funny because I'm just like, honestly, you never know who you're going to meet. And I was like, I need to work on my social skills. Like, COVID messed me up with that. Like, I can't I was like trying to get like 6 feet distance. So I was just like, I don't know how to talk to people. But no, I mean, networking has evolved like tremendously lately because it's just been online. That's all you had.
Yeah.
And no, I think where you are and where you're headed is it's going to be mind blowing whenever you get there, and you're just,
Hmm.
God damn, I did that. You know, it's just like a certain like, you know, I used to be so like self conscious about that, like being proud of yourself is like so easily associated with being conceited,
Yeah.
you know, and I was just like, okay, I'm not trying to trigger anybody. I just want to let you know. I'm not trying to trigger, but I just feel like you can give yourself props without being like a rude person, in my opinion. And there's nothing wrong with that. And when I started like giving myself props and giving other people props, and they're just like, oh no, take the compliment. Take the you're doing wonderful. Why not take, you know, the compliment? It's good for your mindset because like when you open yourself up, take that compliment and acknowledge that yes, I have done this for myself. That opens so many doors like universally, like just with people, like you start attracting like so many opportunities to yourself once you do that. And I think that's great. That is really great. And you're literally going to laugh about this, what, maybe, honestly, like the way you're going, I think maybe 2, 3 years tops, you're going to be like, I remember I was in my room and I had all these cotton balls. And I
I take a break. Like, I have four like, huge bags. Like, this is
would be
gonna
like,
be, yeah, this is, I will definitely laugh at this where I'm like, I am trying to do this Instagram live, trying to get these cotton balls.
yeah,
I have dogs fighting behind me.
exactly. I'm like, and like I was telling my mom that, and I was just like, I've never been on a live before, and I have all these studio equipments. Like I have lights, and I had to move my desk from my wall. And it's just like everybody's just gonna have to admire my Catwoman painting that I got at Fan Expo. If you don't know what that is, you should check it out. They're like all over. If you like nerdy things, but no, I didn't know what I was gonna do. But I was like in my closet. I was assembling everything. I was sweating. I was trying to get clothes out of the way, and I was just like, I'm just gonna laugh at this because you know sometimes it brings you the tears because you're just like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? But then you're just like, you know what? I'm going to laugh at this exact moment. I'm going to bookmark it and be like, you remember the time where I almost had a panic attack in my closet because I've never been on like Instagram Live before? So I think that's really great. And I think, so when I was looking at your submission, you were talking about submitting your photography to local galleries. How's that going?
Yeah, I'm getting so many no's, but that's part of the process.
Hey, there may be a yes around that
I
no
know
one day.
exactly, and I think it's like funny because even with the TikTok that we like mentioned where I was just like working on my brand with no bitches, no job, no blah blah
Yeah,
blah. Like that's like I'm absolutely like joking and stuff like that. People are like, "It's okay, Corine, like you got this," and I was like, "Wait, no, 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 like I'm fine. I have really like it's like me and my humor stage where I have like sometimes I get into that self-deprecating humor, but
yeah,
it's absolutely just jokes. Like I'm doing fine." Like I
yes.
thought the audio was funny. Like I have to like tell people like no 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 it's okay. But that's the same even in the art gallery. I like put a story where I was just like, oh, got a no for like an application, and then I was just like dancing because I was just like, you know, like I'll like joke around like, you know, if like something bad happens, I'll just be like, eh. Like
Like,
that's my coping way of doing it. Like, oh, whatever.
I laugh.
But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep like submitting. It's also a matter of something where I need to make sure back to this again, like making sure I outsource work so I have more time to do like these like ventures that I honestly like don't have time for technically. Like I have a backlog of like client photos I need to like get to. Those are going to be always priority, but then I have all these other things and like different facets of my business that I want to create, but like I won't be able to do that until I kind of can start getting like people on board, whether it's like contractors. Eventually it'd be so cool to have like employees. I don't know what it is. Like I'm looking forward to like taking like if I have like employees and like, oh, let's go like out for a lunch and I'll pay for lunch. So like that's very exciting to like do that kind of stuff. But yeah, art gallery stuff, pending. In the meantime, I will keep going to different art galleries, different events and stuff like that. And then maybe at some point, one of them is going to be on there, which will be cool. But I will definitely share on socials whenever that happens. But in the meantime, I'll keep taking the no's until I can get that yes.
I mean, that's the best you can do. And then, like, also, I think whenever you get your yes, it's going to mean so much more, you know? I was thinking about the other day, it was just like, I get rejected all the time, like in person and not in person. It builds thick skin. And in this world, you have to have thick skin. And it's not a no, like, I'm rejecting you, like, personally. But also, it's just like, maybe not right now. And that's how I always see it, no. It's just not like a harsh no, you're not good enough. Because that's what a lot of people associate no's with. It's just like, maybe not right now. Or maybe this is not your journey, but maybe if I can just refer you to something else. And with art galleries, I remember when I used to be an assistant at one of the art galleries in Dallas. I had
I guess now you know there's an hour limit.
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
Talk for an hour. I was just looking at the time. I was like, damn, I guess we did. Whoopsie. I was like, oh no. Well, good to know that. But what were we talking about? We were talking about
art galleries. You're talking about art galleries.
Oh yes, art galleries. No, thank you. Like I said, my ADD, I was just like, that kind of threw me off guard, girl. I was just, oh no. I was like, oh no. No. What was I? Art gallery no's. It's just like basically saying like maybe not right now. And I was talking to my friend because I was just like, I want to get in art galleries too. And I was just like, it's hard because they do have like a type of what they're looking for, especially if it is a certain type of medium or a certain type of theme. So you kind of have to cater, because I know in Dallas they have like a art bathhouse like by Right Rock. And each month or every 3 months they have like a theme, and you're just like, well, is that kind of me or it's not? It's hard because one thing I remember working with the curator there, she was just like, even though I say no, I keep their stuff on file because I keep applying. So they know who you are. It's just like, that's not what we're looking for right now. So I'm just saying, every no is probably not like, no, you're not good enough. It's just like, no, not right now. But we know who you are. And I think when they say like, well, they should say it a little bit more. I think it's a little bit kind of cold. In my opinion, I think it's a little bit cold where you're just like, not accepted. You're like, no. I think they just need a little bit softer touch with it, because, artists, what did Erykah Badu say? Like, I'm an artist, I'm sensitive about my shit. So I think it's just like the rejection letters should be a little bit more friendly instead of no.
Yeah.
But like
art, you put so much of your like self into it. Like, it's different from when somebody's just like, I'm going to solve this like math equation for homework. Like, you're not putting your heart and soul into like this math equation for homework, but this art piece that you're having, that you're basically giving to somebody to be like, hey, assess this as if this is my worth. And I think that's where I'm having to also figure that out, where I'm like trying to not base somebody's opinion on my work as something that's somebody's opinion of myself, because that's where you get fucked up in the mental, and you're kind of like, whoa, like, I am having an existential crisis, like, what is happening? Like, and I think that's why I used to be quite a person. Whenever it was a no, it was just like devastating. Like, I remember I did like an audition, I didn't get into it, I was devastated. I was like, I'm never going to dance. And I was just like, blah 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 blah. But that was, before I started like building a mindset of being like you said, it's like, it's a not yet, or like you're looking in the right spot, but like it's not your time yet. Or it's just like, this is not necessarily your path, but that's going to open up another path. And I mean, you were even mentioning all these like different jobs that I like noticed you were like, oh yeah, I worked at this job, I worked at this job. I was the same way too. I like my work my work resume is quite colorful. But
Boy.
I think because, like, you know, I was just like, I have no idea what I want to do. And, you know, there'd just be times where, like, it wasn't even something where, oh, I dropped the cotton ball. Give me a second.
The cotton. Save them all. Save them.
Come on. But yeah, like I would just be like going to different jobs, and I was also not afraid to be that person that if a job was not working out, I'm not gonna stay for like 5 years. Like if I'm gonna leave.
I'm like, okay.
I'm gonna leave if it's been like a month, and I'm like, nope. Because then you like you kind of know, you know,
yeah,
like if it's not really gonna be the place for you. But I think like doing, you know, different job stuff and like getting very many no's. It's not even just like no's of like you didn't even get the job. Sometimes it's like you're on the job and then they're like, actually you're not good enough, so get out. Like having to experience that cycle of just being like just ups and downs to that, I think kind of like you said, built like a tough skin. So like now whenever it's just like, you know, an application for a grant or like an art gallery comes back to me, or even like a client and I send them my pricing and like, you know, information, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to book with you, and then they're like, no, actually because of XYZ I don't want to book with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like now I'm just kind of like, okay, cool, like have a great day, like hopefully we're still, you know, like we're still chilled, like as people, like as business, you know, it's, you know, the relationship, it's not like completely forever like severed or anything, or I'm not gonna have like a grudge on people if they're like, hey, like, you know, this is not the right time for me to do that. I'd be like, all right, cool, just, you know, let me know how I can support you, whether that's like you book at a later time whenever you're ready, or if you just want to hang out on like socials and like send me a message, or if you are kind of are like, hey, just Korean random advice on something, like I'm always like open to kind of stuff like that now.
That's good. I mean, like when you remain open, you attract so many opportunities for you. One, first and foremost, I always think everything's like a learning experience, in my opinion. Also, when it's a learning experience, it's also a healing experience because you have to take the self-worth away because you're not trying to get their validation. You're always validating yourself.
Yes.
I think, especially me growing up, like when you have a good job and you're doing X, Y, and Z for your job, like they should be showing you appreciation. But when they don't do that, it's just like you don't, the natural response is just like you just stop looking for it, right? No, you automatically go another 15%. You be like, do you see me now? How about now? Like, are we good? But, and then, like, all of a sudden, like, your back starts hurting, like, you're breaking out, your body starts breaking down, like, you're kind of, like, in the humdrum spirit of all sorts. It's just, like, when you stop seeking that validation, when you continue to validate yourself and hyping yourself up, like, being your own cheerleader, I think helps you go through those no's and be like, all right, cool, like, maybe not right now, but one day, like Pinterest. I apply all the time to Pinterest because I think I'm going to be bomb. Now, what's funny is when I was working at my previous job, the last one, they wanted to partner with the company. And I said, hey, this is a good opportunity because Pinterest is about to pop off. If we hook with them, like on an interior design level, I think that'll be a really good opportunity. And they're just like, no, that's not really great. Now they're partnering with Vogue, if you haven't noticed. But I'm not saying I called it. But every time, like, they have an opportunity, I always apply it. And I always get a no. But I'm just like, one day, Pinterest is going to give me money. I don't know how, when, where. But I know I'm going to either work with them or they're going to work with me. That's just how I am.
That's how I am with Adobe and stuff. I'm like looking at like whenever they're gonna open like any like ambassador thing, or I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. Well, they have the Adobe Express ambassador thing. I just haven't applied yet because I haven't actually used Adobe Express. So I need to prepare myself for the application in case they ask. So I'm gonna do that first, and then I'm gonna start applying and just bugging them, and then eventually I'll
go to TikTok. On they have Adobe Express on TikTok, and they do like short reels or tutorials if you want to speed things up. That's one way.
There we go.
Like, they give out the information, you might as well set yourself up for success. Speed that. You're already in a business class. I'm just helping you with your
you're giving me the specifics,
plan. So. Exactly. Like, speaking of the universe, you know, whatever you believe in. I always say whatever you put out, you're gonna get back. It's like a boomerang, but it's not gonna come at you and like slap you in the face when you're not ready. Sometimes you're not.
Yeah.
It might be like 3 years from now, then all of a sudden you're moving to a different state. You're like, now you want me? I don't want to do this anymore. So you just never know.
Yeah, that happened with people when like I used to charge like 100 per shoot, and then they were like, "Oh, you're too expensive. I'll just like book with you later on." But now I charge like 400 a shoot, so I'm like, I'm like, you gotta book as soon as you can, because I'm gonna keep going.
It's just like, get it when you finish, man.
I'm like, oh, that's really how it is in the industry there. But oh my god, I had a thought and then it like disappeared.
No, my brain. No, but I already your hour, and I know you have all those cotton balls, but one last question. With whomever is listening, hello, thank you for joining again. What would your last statement, and how would you want to present yourself when you entering on the internet as well as like your platform? Like, who is Corine?
Oh my gosh, that's pressure.
Not pressure, because you can always change it.
That's true. I mean, it's like, I was like, damn, this is like existential stuff. I mean, I think my thing is I've always been somebody that likes to be a caretaker. And I've like told that to people, but I don't want to be known as the caretaker, but more somebody to be like, hey, to everyone else who is used to being a caretaker, I am your reminder person to be like, make sure you take care of yourself. That is something that I think, especially as people who really identify with being like empathetic, whether you are in the medical field, whether you're in the artistic field, like a lot of jobs are in a way like somehow connecting you to the community or like you to other human beings. And you know, we're used to identifying ourselves with our jobs. And me myself, you know, I'm a photographer and stuff like that, and I'll always be like, yeah, I'm a photographer, but like me as Corine, like I'm just somebody that wants the betterment of everybody. I just want everybody to have a good time and have chill. I mean, we'll be realistic, like things are gonna come up, but like even, you know, I'm just gonna always be somebody that's gonna live free spiritedly. If you're on the journey with me, cool. If you want to pop by in my Instagram and just say hi, I'm never going to be somebody that's going to be too exclusive or too cool for anybody. If anything, I'm probably going to be really dorky and the person might actually be quite annoyed with me. So if you want to be annoyed, I'm definitely just, you know, always just open to just helping people in whatever way, even if it's something as simple as being like, hey, reminder, make sure you're taking care of yourself today. Drink some water, eat food. This is also a reminder to myself to eat food because it is past dinner time. So I should also eat.
Yeah. And I agree. And I just to add to that, like I myself see myself as an empathetic person to like a harsh fault, and it took me a long time to be able to say, yes, you can help people, but I have to remember to take care of myself first, because like I was at a point where I was just helping everybody. Then when I needed help, I was too drained to ask. I was so depleted. I was just like, oh my God, like my body was going through things. I was just like, also I lost my job at the time, and I was just like, I don't even know where to begin. I just need to like internally heal. Like I need to heal my heart. I need to heal like my mindset. And then when you messaged me, you're like, hey, I'm not feeling well. And I know for me, that takes a lot for me to say like, hey, can we reschedule? I don't feel well, because that made me feel guilty. Like, I thought that was so like, you know, back in the day, you're just like, oh, you're sick, just push through. And now with COVID, it's just like, you sick, go home. Go home.
I'm so glad, right? Because I have stories to tell about what happened to me in college, because I don't know if you saw my other story before, like I am also quite like, I'm quite open about my stuff too. Like I take medication for anxiety and depression. Thank God. That is a long time coming. And I take a lot of medication for other stuff just because I just have a list of medical problems, and I'm sure there's more. But like it's always was hard whenever I was always asked like for classes to be there for like attendance because I'd be like, I'm sick. And then someone being like, you're lying. And I'm like, I'm actually in the ER. And then they're like, but you're missing your exam. That's a very that's a short to like a long story. But yeah, no, like I really appreciated you like being open about like rescheduling and like not making me feel guilty, because I think a lot of times like it's unfortunate, and I get the space of when people do reply with like trying to make somebody feel guilty about it because they themselves were inconvenienced with the reschedule, but like it's hard out here when you're a sickly person and any amount of stress will just shut your body down. So,
and like sometimes you know, you gotta put you first. And like I think sometimes when things don't work out the way it's planned, it's for your protection anyway. Like I don't think we would have gone over an hour.
Planet. Like I would be like, you'd be seeing me in a dark room, like barely talking to you.
Like me myself, I get really bad migraines. Like I have a piercing, so I don't get migraines on this side, and I'm thinking about getting it on this side, because like sometimes I get it, and I'm like in my bathroom in the tub in the dark with water and a pillow and a blanket, and I'm on the cold floor because that's the only thing. I can't even be on my bed. It just is so bad, and you know, it makes you so sick when you don't know how to like cater to it. And sometimes like I canceling some friends, I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna have to cancel. Like, well, we have this book, da, 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 da. And I'm like, I'm not even responding to that because I'm like, I'm literally on the bathroom floor, like almost in tears, and this phone light all the way at the bottom is still too bright for me to look at, just to give you a courtesy saying like, hey, I didn't like foresee I was gonna have a migraine.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. And I had some things where I was just like, I was like, hey, I can't do this because like even when I was like sick, I was like, hey, I can't do this, but I can find like somebody to like help you, like, you know, recover the inconvenience that I caused. And even then it was something where it was just like, but Corine, you're like missing out last minute again. I'm like, I'm sick. I didn't plan this, and I'm trying to help as much as the brain power that can, like, my brain can actually provide for the day.
Right. And your health is important. It leads to your productivity. It helps you with your mind space, because when you're sick, you're sick. You can't, you just can't push through it, because why? Why? It's still going to be there tomorrow. And if you need to reschedule, like, be the adult thing to reschedule. Like, you don't have, like, I never really got the whole, like, well, you're missing out. I'm like, all right, well, I wasn't even supposed to be there then if I'm missing. Because whatever's for you, you never miss it.
Yeah, or it's just like, hey, you're supposed to let me know, like, way ahead of time. I'm like, I wasn't sick a week ago. How am I supposed to let you know I'm going to be sick?
Like, getting migraines, like, comes out of the blue, like, especially when I don't eat, which we're going to get off in, like, 2 minutes here so you can go eat.
You're good. I can talk for like hours, so this is actually a good thing that we're gonna put a hard stop.
Okay. Yeah, I was just like, but no, like it's just very important to take care of your body. And like I said before, Corine, I love you so much. I'm gonna continue to support you. And if you ever just need to like jump on a call or like talk about some nerd shit, I'm always here. But
from me to you too, because like you like building non-niche, like, you know, let me know what I can do. I know we're like in 2 different locations, and you know, whatever I can do digitally will be cool. So
promoting fun, sharing, and I'm gonna post like, well, I'm gonna edit a little bit our video because I recorded this, but I'm gonna edit a little bit, and then I'm gonna have like an article that I'm gonna write, and then that's gonna be like, I don't have a website yet, but I have like a template that I put like on oh, thanks. I have a template where I put it on like on the Instagram, and I email it to you so you can have that for your notes, and that adds to your portfolio too. So
oh my god, that is so helpful. Thank you.
Oh, it was such a joy, and I'm so glad to like actually connect with you. And I know we've kind of just been DMing each other, just like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
So it's nice to finally put not just with the face of the name, but the authenticity and the character with it. So I really appreciate you sitting down with me for an hour plus. And please go eat and don't take too long on the cloud
Oh,
because clouds fall, so you can do like a whole thing.
I'm not even halfway through the first bag. Like,
Send help.
I should have gotten somebody to help me with this. If anyone wants to help, please.
You need an assistant. Get an intern.
Oh yeah, I should.
Mm-hmm.
Help me with these clouds.
Yeah, like that's what you help build their portfolio, and then you have extra hands.
Yep.
So you can get credits. It's very easy, and yes, they can part-time intern free. Okay. But no, you have a wonderful night. Thank you for everybody to join, and I'll share this on Instagram and on my YouTube, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Oh.